Hello, and welcome back to TaliHanan. In the last episode, we explored what family enmeshment is, boundaries, and some misconceptions surrounding the topic. In this episode, we'll continue uncovering various challenges in enmeshed Filipino families by answering the question, what contributes to family enmeshment? Before we start, it's important for you to consider that local studies on family enmeshment are incredibly limited, with most of it focusing on parentification. So, my dollmakers and I researched this specific phenomena to explore its challenges with the help of expert psychologists and psychotherapists. And it's important to note, we were only able to find data on mostly Filipino female Gen Zs and upper middle income or above in highly urbanized areas. Thus, we can't make broad conclusions about all Filipino families. So instead, we will only be sharing what we learned thus far on what may influence enmeshment in the Filipino home. So now that that's covered, let's move on to what exactly those are. There were three major factors that we've learned: family environment, external factors, and individual factors. Family environment. Let's start by taking a look at these four children who experienced enmeshment in slightly different ways. To start, this is Alan. His parents rely on him excessively for emotional support, like how they ask for relationship advice or when they lash out at him to vent their problems. This isn't all he does, but he's what you call their pseudo-therapist. He's the one who diffuses family conflicts or becomes a scapegoat for personal issues. Sometimes, his struggles are also felt by those of parentified children, like Sinag. She takes on roles beyond her age, even at the expense of her own well-being. She does everything, from parenting siblings, to managing finances, or even being the household utusan. She feels accomplished by being able to help, but also feels incredibly exhausted. But parental enmeshment isn't just about being able to trust your children for adult matters. It's about what kind of psychological gap they can fill in their parents' lives. For Kito, this looks like his parents overprotecting him to the point where he's stunted in learning essential life skills, like budgeting, chores, or socialization. They may do his tasks for him, undermine his capabilities, give unsolicited advice, or even make decisions for him without his consent. This can coincide with those who have over-involved parents, like Tala. Often, her parents would invade her privacy, micromanage her schedule, expect her to have the same beliefs or desires, and tailor her life to be what they want for her. Despite all of these different dynamics, their family values remain the same, all of which lack boundaries, open communication, and age-appropriate responsibilities. Not because it is impossible to change, but because their dynamic serves to fill a gap in their families. And this becomes even more pronounced when there are internal or external pressures that compel them towards that. So let's explore what those are. External factors. Family dynamics don't live in a vacuum. They are influenced by society, culture, and communities that the family is a part of. And because parents often pass on the values they grew up with, these influences can shape how children are expected to think or behave. Let's take age for example. When it comes to age, some of you may have noticed that you were given more freedom and responsibility as you've grown older. But for many Filipino Gen Zs in our study, they still felt that their needs were downplayed regardless of that freedom. But why is that? Well, according to them, one of the reasons was because of ageism. Their age, or being younger, was often used to discourage forming contrary opinions, insights, or having unconventional displays of self-expression. Our psychologists and psychotherapists note that there is a perception in Filipino families wherein the older you are, the more wisdom, experience, and maturity you have. And as a result, older family members may naturally carry more influence, leading to younger individuals being overlooked. And while their experiences provide mature guidance and stability, it may also make it harder for younger family members to communicate their own insights, which is equally as important in a rapidly changing society. This is also a problem as you could find that what you believe in is radically different from what your parents believe in. This could be due to a combination of different social norms, political or economic climates, and different lived experiences, making it challenging to communicate and understand each other. Hence, they show up with the tools, values, and interests that work for them to give you the best shot at life. But, when forced upon you without care of how you respond to it, it can undermine what you actually need in order to develop your own identity and self-autonomy. But, societal norms or expectations aren't the only things that could externally influence enmeshment. It's also equally important to consider money and resources. Simply put, if you grew up with more financial security, you may have already realized that you had more opportunities to explore your interests along with fewer responsibilities. While for those who lacked financial security, this meant additional responsibilities, which leaves you with less time and freedom to focus on your own needs and personal development. This does have exceptions, like if you grew up with over-involved parents or grew up infantilized, then your activities and interests may have been restricted, limiting your ability to explore regardless of your resources. So, if you consider how a combination of economic status, different lived experiences, and family environment plays a role, it illuminates a few of the reasons why it can be much harder to release mental patterns that keep our families there, which ties in to our third and last factor: individual factors. From the children that we've been able to hear narratives from, we've also heard snippets of childhood hardships that shaped our guardians' parenting and how this influenced the children's response to their parents. So, what exactly does this look like? For some parents, it meant growing up where emotions were suppressed to solve things logically, especially if they grew up poor and afraid that their children would suffer the same fate. So things like hobbies and passions meant nothing if they couldn't feed themselves. In other families, it was intergenerational norms, like the more mature older siblings are expected to parent their younger siblings, sometimes even fund their education or help own the family business, while younger children are to aim to be like their ates or kuyas. But, you may ask, how does this play as an individual factor for enmeshment? So first, let's look at Erik Erikson's 8 stages of development. It suggests that challenges we don't fully resolve in our early life stages can affect our ability to function. As such, parents who had their own share of problems, such as poverty, illness, addiction, imprisonment, and high conflict violence, were also commonly reported to be enmeshed in the past decade. While not all families end up enmeshed because of these correlations, it's still an important note that when guardians have unresolved experiences from their childhood, that can influence their ability to nurture their children and unintentionally pass harmful patterns. But children are not always at the mercy of who raises them. Like how over time, most of the enmeshed children in our study reported gaining clarity on their own boundaries, self-awareness, and communication as they matured, even if they did still struggle with self-imposed expectations from how they were raised. While not completely solved, this gives us hope that things can change and that we're not stuck repeating the same patterns. We have the ability to choose differently, to introspect, and to create new paths we've yet to uncover. And over time, we'll meet people along the way to support us in that journey. So, did you relate to any of these factors? This episode, we talked about family environment, external factors, and individual factors. In the next 2 episodes, we'll talk about the steps we can take to help address enmeshment. A gentle reminder for everyone watching: if you feel overwhelmed from the information we just shared, we encourage viewers to take a break before moving on to the next episode. But if not, feel free to go ahead. If you have any questions, thoughts, or suggestions on the video, let us know down in the comments. We're also available on Facebook, Instagram, and our email at talihanan@gmail.com.